Hello, everyone. This is your host, Shonool Malik, welcoming you to News Now, Belmont Journal's news show and community update. On August 30th, 2018, a fatal accident at the corner of Sycamore and Lexington Streets led the town to hire a consulting engineer within 2 months of the accident to investigate and evaluate whether a traffic light was feasible at that junction. Today, we have Clancy, Director of Community Development of Belmont, who's going to share some more light about the project. Welcome, Glenn.
Hi, Shonool. Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
Wonderful. Can you tell us more about what's happening on that project and where we are?
Sure. So why don't I kind of bridge the gap from where you left off the timeline? And so after we hired the consultant, by the end of 2018, the evaluation was completed, and it was determined that we met the requirements that allowed the installation of traffic signals at the intersection. And so 19 was really a year that was spent doing the necessary work to push the design forward. One of the critical parts of that process is to make sure that we get approval from Mass DOT, because anytime you install signals in a community, Mass DOT has to review and approve. So we did all the work necessary to make sure we got the approvals from Mass DOT. Held a public hearing in September to make sure that the abutters in the neighborhood were comfortable with the design that we had come up with. Mm-hmm. As you know, I know you're familiar with the area. Right now, there are no traffic signals. Traffic signals, they're a presence. I mean, they are a presence. And so we wanted to make sure people were comfortable with what we came up with. Everything was perfect on that front. And so we moved forward, finalized the design early 2000. And then, the challenge that we had was COVID, because the time that we wanted to go out to bid, COVID hit. And so it took us some time to really figure out how we were going to bid this project, because ordinarily contractors will come by the office and drop off their bid packages. And of course, the town hall was closed. And so we navigated through all those challenges. Ultimately, in August of 2020, the select board approved a construction project for about $415,000. For us to install the signals. We met with the contractor shortly after that, and one of the things that we learned was, under ordinary circumstances, there's about a 10-week lead time for the fabrication of a traffic signal system. With COVID and the impacts on manufacturing, that timeline was actually going to be extended even further. So when I looked at the calendar and I started to play out ultimately where we would be in the subsequent months, I was concerned that we would end up starting this project and have to suspend it through the winter and then pick it up again in the spring of 2021. I did not want to do that. My concern was at that point in August, September, when I was evaluating the timeline, I had no idea whether or not Belmont was ultimately going to go back to in-person teaching, which would have meant that students and other pedestrians would have been utilizing that intersection. I didn't want them traversing an intersection that was actively under construction but had been suspended for the winter. So I made the decision at that point to just go at the project in the spring of 2021, which is what we did. The contractor showed up in the middle of April. Work has been ongoing. If you were to go out there today, you'd see some significant improvement. As we sit here today on May 20th, I can tell you that next week, so the week of May 24th, the signals themselves will be installed. And then it'll be a couple of weeks after that, but the project will finish up. Final activities will be the actual pavement markings that go on the street. That is the last thing that is done. But as of next week, you'll actually see the erection of the signal system itself, which really is the biggest, largest task left for us to do.
And how does this particular traffic light coordinate with obviously it's increasing the safety. I don't know if you wanted to speak about how it increases the safety, but then the second part of my question is, how is it going to coordinate with the light at the Waverly Square?
Sure. So one of the design considerations was just that very item, the fact that we have a signal at Lexington and Trapello. We have a signal at Lexington and Church. And evaluating how traffic flows through those two intersections and how that ultimately would coordinate with Lexington and Sycamore. So the designer took into account the presence of the other two signals in those intersections, and the timing of our will be coordinated with the signal systems at those other two intersections. So, during a peak hour, for example, in the afternoon, as you come off of Chapella Road and head down Lexington Street, these signals will be timed to, slowly move you through the corridor of Lexington Street and ultimately away from Sycamore Street. The improvement in the intersection itself, I mean, the most significant improvement is a dedicated pedestrian phase within the signal system. If you are a pedestrian looking to cross Sycamore Street or Lexington Street, when you push the button, you will be stopping traffic on all approaches, which is, the safest scenario that you can present for a pedestrian. And that was the primary goal of the project, was to make the intersection as safe as possible for pedestrians.
And tell us again, where is the funding coming for this?
So the bid came in at about $415,000. $100,000 earmark from Representative Rogers, or with the help of Representative Rogers. So that left about $315,000 for us to find. Anyone who's been paying attention to the fiscal challenges the town is facing these days knows that we don't have $315,000 lying around. However, we got very lucky. In 2019, National Grid went on strike. Because National Grid went on strike, the gas work that was necessary to be done to clear the way for us to fix roads under the pavement management program didn't get done. So we had a pot of money that was dedicated to fix roadways that we couldn't fix because National Grid didn't do the gas work. So we were able to utilize some of the money that was sitting in that pot of money to put it towards this project. I don't know if National Grid never went on strike and we fixed those roads under the pavement management program. I don't know where the town would have found $315,000. Everyone recognized the importance of this and the need to make that intersection safer. So I'm sure we would have figured something out. But we were lucky. We didn't have to do a lot of real deep thinking here to come up with that money. We had an obvious solution right in front of us. And we were very fortunate that it worked out that way.
Indeed, it looks like after several obstacles, now there is light at the end of the tunnel. In a couple of weeks, it should be ready for safe access for pedestrians, it looks like.
Yes.
That's good news. Anything else you want to share with us, Glenn, about the project?
Well, only that I'm excited that we have reached the end. It was a good project in the sense that there was obviously a real need to do the project. We were fortunate that we had the means to be able to pull it off ultimately. I appreciate the patience of the neighborhood and the residents who live in the area, because everyone recognizes that this project needed to move forward. And so in a couple of weeks, we will have completed it. And I hope everyone is happy and pleased. And I hope it achieves what we want it to.
This is definitely positive news. Thank you so much, Glenn, for joining us today.
Thank you. My pleasure.
This is Shonool Malik signing off. I'll see you soon. Bye now.